Well, hello. I am Matt Williamson coming at you for the last time this week. If the Steelers do something exciting over the weekend, I will do the best I can to react to that. But it's mostly dig into your war room, build your draft board type of time here in the NFL. I've been a part of that. It's a grueling, it's not grueling. It's awesome. It's a long day, but it's 12-hour days. Today's running back day, and then you get a break and maybe you work out, get some lunch, whatever. But it's a long day. And then you start, position coaches are in there and all that good stuff as well. So two things I want to talk about, and I just can't get this off my mind, is the interior O-line situation for the Steeler visits. I keep harping on this, and I'm going to change, and I'm going to link that in with this James Daniels rumor, which I put no credence in whatsoever either. So as mentioned earlier in the week, they're bringing in O'Cyrus Torrence, Steve Avila, Chandler Zavala, John Michael Schmitz, and Cody Mauch, all of whom look like day 2, day 1 picks, interior O-linemen. And everyone is responding. I've been asked this on Twitter 100 times. So now there's this rumor they're going to trade James Daniels. Well, let's address that first. That is such a non-Steeler thing to do. Give him a nice signing bonus, bring him in, very successful first year, young, affordable now, stability on the right side from right tackle to center. Why on earth would you move on from your best lineman from a year ago? Like, that adds up zero to me. And to follow that up, okay, yeah, they brought in 2 guards, but those guys can do other things as well. Depth there is important. I think they're not very happy with Dotson. I think they adore Daniels. Why on earth would you trade him for a 3rd or 4th round pick up a couple million in cap space and create another need just because you love O'Cyrus Torrence or whatever? So maybe they do love O'Cyrus Torrence. I know teams do love him. I could see him going to Washington before the Steelers even pick. I think he's one of the safer prospects in the draft you're pretty happy with a leadoff double in the first round in this draft. And what I did know, and I should have told you before, they've had this visit with Torrance scheduled for quite a long time, even before they signed Silumalo. So why cancel it? Get to know the young man. Maybe you play against him. Maybe he's there at 32 and you can't believe it and you just draft him anyway, even though you don't need a guard. I don't think they project him to tackle. I don't think they project Silumalo to tackle, although I don't think that's as crazy as people think. But these other names I mentioned, Avila has all kinds of center capabilities and is as good a center as he is a guard and showed it at the Senior Bowl. Same is true for John Michael Schmitz. He is a center that can play guard. That adds up. Again, we're talking about pick 32 or the 2nd round in general. Cody Mauch, as I told you guys earlier in the week, some of these players you just have a question on, period. Like, we have 90% of his report done, but I need to really figure this out. Is Mauch a center? He did a little bit of that at Senior Bowl. He was a tackle at North Dakota State. Personally, I think he's a guard, but he's not a Torrance or mash your face Herbig type guard. He's much more of a movement player. So the Steelers might be trying to quiz him and get every bit of information of maybe he's a center for Pittsburgh. Okay, that adds up. That's not a guard bringing him in. And Zavala, I talked about yesterday, I'm sure he kind of came out of nowhere by their standards, certainly by the media standards, in that he wasn't highly, regarded, blows up his pro day. So let's get him in here. I bet that guy's taking trips all over the NFL right now because teams are scrambling. That's an offensive lineman with all kinds of traits. And his protection and his tape was pretty good at NC State, but there were injuries. Let's get him in here. We need to find out more. So I bet they're one of a bazillion teams trying to do everything they can to get more information on Zavala. So maybe I jumped the gun. I know a lot of people jumped the gun at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, quote, interior offensive linemen. But if 3 of them are only being looked at through the Steelers' eyes as maybe your long-term center, one of them is just a dude you need to learn a lot more about, and one of them is Torrance, who you had something scheduled and they probably really, really like his tape, it adds up a little bit more, So who knows? That's just the way I'm unpeeling this thing the more I think about it. We'll be back in a minute, and then we'll do a little general thing that I think was kind of interesting here as well. Okay, the Pro Football Focus folks put out an article today that I thought was really interesting. So, Pro Football Focus started doing college stuff back in 2014. I can't believe it's been that long. You know, that they started doing grades, rankings, draft stuff, all that back in 14. I guess I don't know when they started as a company. I don't remember, whatever. But they ranked, and the Steelers aren't in either of these, sorry, but I do still find it interesting that they ranked the best 5 drafting teams for first round picks only in that time frame, 2014 to now, and the worst 5. And it's pretty interesting to me. Their best 5, the Packers, and the Packers, they're all first round picks are defense except for Jordan Love, Demarius Randall, Kenny Clark, Jari Alexander, Rashawn Gary, Darnell Savage, Love, Stokes, and Quay Walker, Devontae Wyatt. Not a ton of star power there, but pretty darn solid. I mean, to hit and get starters with most of those picks in that time frame, those are all their first round picks, and they get 2 extra ones, which doesn't hurt. It's really solid. You know, the Packers have done well. Carolina's next. They've done well. Ike Ekwonu last year, J.C. Horn the year before, Derek Brown before that, Brian Burns before that. I think those guys are all foundational players for this new quarterback, this new regime. DJ Moore and Christian McCaffrey were the 2 picks before that, both of whom are allowing them to go get their quarterback. The McCaffrey trade gave them a ton of picks. DJ Moore was part of the Bears deal. So those guys, not only did they get a lot of good football out of Moore and McCaffrey, but they got stuff for the next generation. So great stuff there by Carolina. A team that I don't think gets nearly the credit they deserve, and I think it's a lot of just because it's Jerry Jones and people think he's this tyrant and high flashy owner and all that, and he's, you know, not a football guy. The Cowboys draft really well, and I've often said this on a lot of outlets. They don't get the credit they deserve. Here's what they've done since then. Byron Jones, Zeke Elliott, Taco Charlton, miss, Leighton Vander Esch, CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, Tyler Smith. That's really good drafting. I mean, part of the reasons I want to bring this up, though, is everyone's always critical of the Steelers. A lot of you guys, don't get me wrong, because, wow, they missed on Artie Burns or they missed on this guy. You know, we're looking at the best first-round pick teams in the league since 2014, and none of those are Hall of Famer after Pro Bowler, after All-Star, after great player. I mean, just hitting doubles year after year goes a long way. And trust me, the Steelers are much closer to the top 5 than the bottom 5. Lions since 2014, Laken Tomlinson, Taylor Decker, Gerard Davis. That's a miss. Frank Ragnow. But 3 out of 4 years, they went on offensive line. Hawkinson, Okudah, Penei Sewell, another offensive lineman. Last year, Hutchinson, Jamison Williams. Why is this team on the upbeat? Because they've drafted really well, especially in the trenches. The Chargers are next. They're such a disappointing organization, really going back to Fouts, Rivers, now Herbert. Nobody supports their quarterback worse, I think, than the Chargers. And they have 3-star quarterbacks in my lifetime. But they've drafted Zion Johnson, Rashawn Slater, Herbert. What a pick Herbert is. Kenneth Murray's a miss. Tillery's a miss. Derwin James, Mike Williams, Joey Bosa, Melvin Gordon. My point is this team should be better. And they went on a huge spending spree last offseason. Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson. But it's a lot of flash and it's not a lot of substance. And they're drafting well. They should be better. I just think they should be better. These worst 5 are scary. So the Raiders are the last. I think there's 2 teams that stand alone as the worst 2 drafting teams since 2014. And the Raiders are worse because they have 3 extra picks during that time too. So Amari Cooper in 2015, good pick. How about the rest of these dudes? Carl Joseph, Jerry and Conley. Colton Miller's a very good pick. He's a strong left tackle for them. Cleveland Farrell just left the team. Josh Jacobs was a good pick. Jonathan Abram, Henry Ruggs, Damon Arnett, Alex Leatherwood. That's been their first round picks since 2015. Cooper was a good pick. Miller was a good pick. Jacobs was a good pick. Cooper's not even with the team. He yielded them some of these other extra first round picks that they missed on. Brutal. I mean, how's that team winning 8-ish games, going to the playoffs the last couple of years? I don't know. Same is true for the Patriots. I mean, since 2014, they only made 6 first round picks, 2 of which were in 2018. This is what the Patriots have had in the first round since 2014. Malcolm Brown, Isaiah Wynn, who's still unemployed, Sony Michel, N'Keal Harry, Mac Jones, Cole Strange. Pretty darn bad. I mean, that's not as early a picks as the Raiders, but that's still pretty horrific. Seattle's been really bad, but maybe they turned their corner last year. Charles Cross was last year's first round pick. Really good class. They always do goofy things like take LJ Collier and Rashad Penny, but they've been brutal lately too. The Bears, I mean, the Bears only made 5 first round picks since 2014. Kevin White, Leonard Floyd, Mitch Trubisky, Roquan, Justin Fields. You brought in 5 first round picks in that whole stretch. That's awful hard to be good. No wonder you were picking first overall. Last team to talk about, and we'll wrap this thing up. The Cardinals. Cardinals are weird too, because I mean, DJ Humphries is fine. He's a starting left tackle, and then DJ, the defensive tackle, is a total bust. But then they went with 3 positionless defensive players. Hassan Reddick, who's great for the Eagles, great for the Panthers, was bad for the Cardinals because they didn't know how to use them. Isaiah Simmons, Zaven Collins. So the same situation. So Collins, Simmons, and Reddick are all these, is he a linebacker? Is he an edge? Is he a safety? What is he? Well, they seem to use them all wrong, and other teams use them right. I mean, at least that's very true with Reddick. And then they went back-to-back quarterbacks, Rosen, Murray. I'm not saying Murray's a bad pick, but their last 5 picks have been positionless defensive players or quarterbacks. So I'm not sure that they're brutal. They're not the Patriots and the Raiders, which somehow are able to still win games. But those are the when you want to be critical of the Steelers for, their drafting hasn't been great. Well, first of all, they draft later in the first round than most of these teams on average, certainly during Kevin's time here. And there's not many misses. And the best ones aren't as good as you think is really my point. So thanks. I will be back on Monday to talk some more stuff. All right, over and out.